Chosen one, pause. Not because you're in trouble, not because you should be afraid, but because you are being redirected. Right now, in the unseen, there is a moment of alignment that doesn't come often. The kind of moment you only recognize after it passes. And I need you to hear this with a steady heart. Heaven is not yelling at you. Heaven is reaching for you. If you were about to scroll, if your thumb was already moving, if your attention was splitting, that's not random. That's the exact friction that shows up when something important is trying to land. So take one slow breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. And give me your focus for a few minutes, because this message isn't here to entertain you. It's here to reposition you. Today, Archangel Michael and Jesus speak together, not as a threat, but as an intervention. Chosen one, do not skip this. Open your heart now. And if the phrase 10 seconds startled you, let me reframe it the way heaven actually means it. It's not a countdown to punishment. It's a countdown to clarity. It's the final nudge before your spirit slips back into autopilot. Because autopilot is where you keep repeating the same cycles, the same misunderstandings, the same wrong doors, the same almost breakthroughs. And heaven is saying, gently but firmly, not again. Listen carefully. You didn't find this message. This message found you. Not because you're special in a way that makes you better than others, but because you've been carrying something heavy for a long time without collapsing. You've held faith quietly. You've kept moving with tired eyes. You've smiled when you felt hollow. And you've wondered, more times than you want to admit, if anyone in heaven could see you. Jesus says, I saw you. And when Jesus says that, he's not talking about a highlight reel. He's talking about the parts you hid, the private moments, the nights you went quiet because words couldn't help, the mornings you got up anyway, the way you kept loving even after disappointment trained you to shut down. He saw you, and you need to understand something about divine timing. When heaven moves, it often looks like a simple interruption, a pause, a moment you could have skipped. But behind that moment is a protective shift you can't always see yet. So here is the urgency. Without drama, without manipulation, if you skip what realigns you, you return to what drains you. That's it. That's the spiritual math. Not because God punishes you for scrolling, but because distraction is a door, and you've been standing in too many doorways without walking through the right one. Today, heaven is asking you to stop hovering, to choose, to be present long enough for your spirit to actually hear what it already knows. Archangel Michael is described in scripture and tradition as a protector, a defender, a guardian, one who stands between harm and the people he is assigned to cover. So when Michael shows up in a message like this, the tone is not panic. The tone is authority, not chaos. Command. And the command today is simple. Stay with me until the end. Not because the end contains a gimmick, but because spiritual insight works the way medicine works. If you stop halfway, you don't get the full effect. You get the taste, without the transformation. Now I'm going to say something that will help you immediately. When heaven is trying to realign you, you will often feel it in your body first. A pull in the chest, a strange pressure in the heart space, a sudden stillness, a sharp awareness. That's not you being dramatic. That's your nervous system recognizing a moment of meaning. And sometimes, right as that meaning tries to settle, your mind will search for an exit. This is probably not for me. I'll come back later. I don't have time. That's the old pattern, the one that always shows up right before change. So here is what you do right now in real time. Take another slow breath, and in your mind, say, I am here, I am listening, I am open. not to hype, not to fear, to truth. Jesus says, your destiny was beginning to drift. And if that sentence hits you, it's because you already knew something was off. Maybe you've been feeling slightly disconnected, not from life, but from your own life. Like you're doing everything, but nothing is landing. Like you're moving, but not arriving. Like you're busy, but not fulfilled. That drifting is subtle. It doesn't always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like fatigue. Sometimes it looks like, I'll deal with it later. But later becomes months, and months become years, and suddenly you're older, wiser, and still carrying the same ache. Heaven is interrupting that drift, not with shame, with direction. And now, let's establish what this message is not. This is not about you being terrified of missing a miracle. You're not being hunted by heaven. This is about you recognizing that you are standing inside a window, a narrow window of attention, willingness, and alignment. And that window matters because it changes what happens next. In your relationships, in your decisions, in your finances, in your peace. You don't need fear. You need focus. Archangel Michael says something like this, spiritually. If they remain, I will cut through what they cannot cut through alone. That's the real promise. Not that life becomes perfect, but that something hidden, something tangled, something resistant gets separated from you. And separation is mercy. Because a lot of what has delayed you wasn't lack of effort. It was attachment to the wrong person, the wrong pattern, the wrong expectation, the wrong definition of love, the wrong definition of self-worth. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't more. Sometimes it's less. Less confusion, less noise, less emotional debt, less being pulled in two directions. So let me give you value right now, not later. A simple alignment practice you can do today. No ritual, no performance, just clarity. Ask yourself quietly, where have I been forcing what God has been trying to close? Where have I been avoiding what God has been trying to open? What keeps stealing my peace consistently? No matter how much I explain it away? Write the answers down. Not to be dramatic, to be honest. Because honesty is where deliverance starts. Now here is the promise of part 1. This message is not here to push you into obsession. It's here to return you to stability, because chosen ones don't live in spiritual adrenaline. They live in spiritual clarity. That's why the tone is firm, but not frantic. So yes, I'm asking you to stay, not because heaven will abandon you if you don't, but because heaven is offering you a kind of moment that becomes rare when you keep skipping your own inner knowing. Today is about attention, and attention is a spiritual currency. Where you place it shapes what grows. So place it here, just a little longer, because in part 2, we're going to talk about what's been happening beneath the surface, the invisible pressure, the emotional exhaustion, the subtle interference, and how protection actually works in real life. Not fantasy, not paranoia, not fear-mongering. And when you understand that, you stop blaming yourself for not being strong enough. You realize you've been strong the whole time. You just needed covering. Before we move to the next part, do one quiet thing with me. Put your hand over your chest for a second, if you can, and say, I receive protection. I receive clarity. I receive peace. That's not a magic spell. That's alignment. And alignment is how the next chapter begins. Stay with me. Do not scroll, because now we are not talking about urgency anymore. We are talking about understanding. Urgency wakes you up. Understanding keeps you awake. And heaven does not protect people through fear. Heaven protects through awareness. There has been something subtle moving around your life for a long time. Not dramatic, not dark in the way movies portray it. Quiet, invisible, persistent, and it was never there to destroy you outright. It was there to delay you, delay your clarity, delay your confidence, delay your ability to recognize what is actually meant for you. This is the kind of danger most people never name, because it doesn't scream, it whispers. You may have felt it as confusion, moments where you couldn't explain why you felt tired even when nothing was wrong, times where you lost motivation for things you once cared about, relationships that felt draining but not obviously harmful. That wasn't weakness. That was misalignment pressure. When you stay too long in environments, connections, or mindsets that are no longer meant for you, your spirit signals it through heaviness. That heaviness is information. Archangel Michael does not show up to scare. He shows up to guard. And guarding doesn't always look like stopping an accident. Sometimes it looks like slowing you down so you don't walk into something that would cost you years to recover from. You were protected from paths that looked good on the surface, but would have quietly pulled you away from yourself. Let me say this clearly, because it brings relief to many people. Not every struggle is a test. Some struggles are warnings. You were not meant to push through everything you felt. Some of the resistance you experienced was heaven saying, "This is not where your energy belongs anymore." And because you didn't yet have the language for that, you interpreted it as personal failure. It wasn't. The invisible danger was not that you were about to lose everything. The danger was that you were about to normalize what drains you. And once something draining becomes normal, it becomes invisible. That's when people wake up years later wondering how they got so far away from their original self. Heaven intervened before that happened to you. Think about this carefully. There were moments when things didn't move forward, and at the time, you felt frustrated, confused, maybe even rejected. But if those doors had opened when you wanted them to, you would have walked into situations you were not protected inside of yet. Protection is not just about outcomes. It's about capacity. Heaven will not place you in rooms where your nervous system cannot stay regulated. That's not punishment. That's wisdom. You were also protected from people who were not malicious, but were not aligned. People who liked you, but didn't truly see you. People who were attracted to your light, but not prepared to honor it. People who would have benefited from your presence without supporting your growth. Those connections don't look dangerous at first. They feel flattering, until you realize you're shrinking. Archangel Michael's role is to cut cords that are invisible to the mind, but obvious to the soul. That's why some connections faded without explanation. Why conversations stopped. Why interest cooled. It wasn't because you weren't enough. It was because staying connected would have cost you momentum later. There is also protection that happens inside you. You may have noticed a growing intolerance for certain behaviors. You don't enjoy chaos anymore. You don't feel compelled to explain yourself. You don't feel energized by drama or emotional intensity. That shift didn't happen randomly. Your discernment was being strengthened so you could sense danger before it became damage. Another invisible danger was false urgency. The pressure to decide quickly, the fear of missing out, the idea that if you didn't grab something now, you'd lose your chance forever. That pressure never comes from God. God does not rush people into decisions that shape their destiny. He prepares them. Urgency that feels frantic weakens discernment. Urgency that feels calm strengthens it. The difference matters. You were also protected from self-betrayal. There were moments when it would have been easier to silence your intuition and go along with what others expected. Easier to say yes. Easier to blend in. Easier to ignore the quiet no in your body. But something always stopped you. That was protection. Because every time you ignore your intuition, you train yourself to distrust it. Heaven preserved your inner compass. Archangel Michael stands between you and the accumulation of small compromises. Not dramatic sins, not public mistakes. Small misalignments that add up. You were spared from becoming someone you wouldn't recognize later. That is not minor protection. That is life-altering. Jesus speaks about this kind of protection in a different tone, not as a warrior, but as a shepherd. He doesn't yank people away from cliffs. He guides them toward safer ground long before the cliff appears. That's what this season has been for you. Guidance disguised as delay. You may have felt off without knowing why. That wasn't anxiety. That was your spirit sensing that you had outgrown something. Outgrowing isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It feels like restlessness without direction. And if you don't understand it, you try to numb it with distraction, busyness, or old habits. Heaven stepped in before that numbness settled. Let me give you something practical here. Protection becomes visible when you look backward with honesty. Ask yourself, what didn't work out that I'm actually relieved about now? Who faded away that I no longer feel attached to? What pattern no longer has power over me? Those answers are evidence. You weren't abandoned. You were covered. Archangel Michael says something important here. Protection does not always feel gentle while it's happening, but it always feels merciful once you see what it spared you from. You are starting to see now. That's why this message is landing. There is one more layer of invisible danger we need to address. And it's subtle. It's forgetting who you are when you are tired. When exhaustion sets in, people lower standards. They tolerate less alignment. They accept less clarity. They settle, not because they want to, but because they're worn down. Heaven protected you from settling, even when it meant loneliness for a season. Loneliness is not the same as isolation. Loneliness can refine you. Isolation erodes you. You were lonely, but never abandoned. That's why Archangel Michael's presence feels firm, not frantic. And Jesus' presence feels close, not distant. They are not rushing you. They are stabilizing you. Right now, the danger has passed. Not because the world became safer, but because you became clearer. And clarity repels what confusion attracts. That is protection continuing to work. Stay with me, because in part 3, we move from protection into revelation. Not vague promises, not hype, but a clear understanding of what is being prepared, why your path is about to shift, and how your destiny reorganizes once alignment is restored. You don't want to miss that. If you're still here, take one quiet moment and say to yourself, "Thank you for what didn't happen." That sentence alone releases a lot. Stay with me, because protection was only the preparation. Now comes revelation. And revelation is not information. Revelation is recognition. It's the moment something inside you says, "Now I understand why everything happened the way it did." There is a reason this message did not arrive earlier. If it had come to you a year ago, you would have heard the words, but you would not have recognized the truth. Recognition only happens when your inner world is ready to receive it. That readiness is here now. Here is the revelation. Your life is not about to get better. It is about to change direction. Not a dramatic turn that shocks everyone around you, but a precise realignment that shifts what you attract, what stays, and what finally reaches you. Most people think destiny changes when something new arrives, but destiny actually changes the moment perception shifts. When you stop chasing what feels intense and start recognizing what feels stable. When you stop trying to prove your worth and start honoring your capacity. When you stop asking, "Why didn't this work?" and start asking, "What was I being redirected toward?" That shift has already begun inside you. Archangel Michael speaks here with clarity, not urgency. He says, "The path is not opening because they are trying harder. The path is opening because they are seeing clearly. That distinction matters. You are stepping out of a timeline where effort was misdirected. You worked hard before, you showed up, you tried to be patient, but you were pushing energy into situations that were not aligned with your actual design. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you were learning discernment through experience. Now discernment is no longer theoretical for you. It's embodied. This is where destiny shifts, not through pressure, not through force, through choice made from clarity. There is something specific being revealed to you now. You are not meant to build your future from survival. You are meant to build from stability, and stability doesn't come from control. It comes from alignment. Jesus speaks gently here. He says, "You are not behind. You are not late. You are being positioned." Positioned for what? For a life that does not require constant emotional recovery, for relationships that don't require you to abandon yourself, for opportunities that don't cost you your peace. This revelation may feel subtle at first, but you'll notice it in your reactions. You don't feel pulled toward the same things anymore. You don't feel tempted to fix, chase, or convince. You feel a quiet boundary forming, not against people, but against patterns. That boundary is sacred. Destiny is shifting because your tolerance has changed. You no longer tolerate emotional inconsistency, unclear intentions, environments that drain instead of nourish urgency without grounding. That doesn't make you difficult. It makes you aligned. Here is another revelation many people miss. Not everything that feels meant for you arrives loudly. Some things arrive quietly because they don't need to compete for your attention. They resonate instead. Your destiny is aligning with resonance, not intensity. Archangel Michael says something important here. The next chapter does not announce itself with chaos. It arrives with calm recognition. That's how you'll know. You may also notice something else. Your memories are reorganizing. Moments from the past suddenly make sense. Things people said to you, feelings you ignored, decisions you hesitated on. This is not nostalgia. This is integration. Your mind is catching up to what your soul already processed. Destiny shift often comes with grief. Not grief for what you lost, but grief for how long you stayed somewhere you outgrew. Be gentle with yourself there. You stayed because you were loyal. You stayed because you hoped. You stayed because you hadn't yet learned to choose yourself without guilt. That lesson is complete now. There is also a revelation about timing. You used to think delays meant denial. Now you understand delays were protection and preparation. The next phase of your life requires a nervous system that can stay regulated during expansion. You've built that, quietly. Through patience you didn't know you were practicing. Jesus says, "You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something sustainable." That is the destiny shift. Here is where it becomes practical. You may soon feel drawn to make changes that don't make sense to others, saying no without over-explaining, letting go of plans that once mattered, choosing rest over proving, choosing quality over quantity. This is not withdrawal. This is alignment. Another revelation. Your purpose is not to rescue, carry, or overextend. Your purpose is to embody clarity. And when you do that, others find their own. You don't need to save anyone. You need to stay aligned. Destiny is not asking you to become someone new. It's asking you to stop abandoning who you already are. That's the shift. Archangel Michael stands here as confirmation, not with a raised sword, but with a steady presence. He says, "The turning point has already happened. What follows now is integration," meaning the external changes will lag slightly behind the internal shift. That's normal. Don't rush it. What's aligning now is meant to last. You're entering a phase where clarity replaces confusion, Discernment replaces doubt. Stability replaces emotional exhaustion. This is not coincidence. This is destiny reorganizing itself around your readiness. Stay with me, because in part 4, we move into transformation plus signs. Not vague omens, not superstition, but the actual internal and external indicators that confirm this shift is real, and how to respond to them without self-sabotage. If this part resonated, sit with this sentence. My clarity is my confirmation. When you're ready, say, continue part 4, and we'll move forward. Stay with me. Because now that the revelation has occurred, the transformation begins. And transformation does not arrive as chaos. It arrives as evidence. Most people expect signs to come from the outside first. But divine transformation always starts internally, then echoes outward. If you wait only for external confirmation, you may miss what is already happening within you. Here is the first sign. Your emotional reactions are changing, not disappearing, but slowing down. Things that once triggered immediate anxiety, defensiveness, or overthinking now create a pause instead. That pause is sacred. It is the space where choice replaces impulse. Archangel Michael says, "This pause is the shield. It protects their future." You may notice that situations which once demanded your emotional labor now feel optional. You can engage, but you don't feel compelled. That is not detachment. That is self-trust forming. The second sign appears in your body. Your nervous system is recalibrating. You may experience deeper breaths without trying, moments of sudden calm, less urgency in decision-making, clearer sleep patterns, even if shorter, a sense of being held, especially in silence. This is not coincidence. Your body is responding to alignment before your mind catches up. Jesus speaks gently here. He says, "When the soul aligns, the body exhales." Let that land. Another sign emerges quietly. Your desires are simplifying. You want fewer things, but you want them more clearly. You are no longer scattered. You don't need 10 options. You want one right thing. That narrowing is not limitation. It is focus returning. Transformation also reveals itself through discernment of energy. You may suddenly feel drained after interacting with certain people, not because they changed, but because you did. Your tolerance for emotional confusion has lowered. Your system now rejects what once felt familiar. That is not judgment. That is alignment. Archangel Michael says, "Old energies cannot remain where clarity has entered." This is why some connections feel awkward now, not broken, just incompatible with your current frequency. You may also experience moments of grief, unexpected, brief, not overwhelming, but present. This grief is not for what you lost. It is for the version of yourself that stayed longer than necessary. Honor that version. They carried you until you were ready to choose differently. Now let's speak about external signs. Not superstition, not obsession. Actual indicators that transformation is stabilizing. You may begin noticing repetition, not constant, but precise. A phrase that keeps appearing, a theme in conversations, a word that follows you across different contexts. This is not fate screaming. It is alignment whispering. You may also notice timing shifts. Delays shorten. Responses arrive faster. Things that used to take weeks resolve in days. This is not acceleration through force. This is resistance dissolving. Jesus says, "When alignment is present, effort multiplies," meaning you do less, results increase. Another sign appears in your boundaries. You enforce them without rehearsing explanations. You say no without guilt. You choose rest without justifying it. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship of your energy. Transformation also shows up in what no longer attracts you. Drama feels loud. Intensity feels unstable. Uncertainty feels unnecessary. You no longer confuse unpredictability with depth. You recognize peace as intelligence. That recognition is irreversible. Archangel Michael stands firm here. He says, once peace is recognized, chaos loses its appeal. That is a sign you cannot unlearn. You may also experience a subtle but important shift. Your intuition feels quieter, but more accurate. It does not shout. It nudges. You don't second-guess it afterward. You trust it because it feels grounded, not urgent. Transformation does not mean you will never feel doubt again. It means doubt no longer drives your choices. It becomes background noise, not a command. Now listen closely. There is a specific sign many people misunderstand. Silence. Silence after clarity is not absence. It is integration. Heaven is not withholding. Heaven is allowing things to settle into form. Do not rush this stage. What forms here determines sustainability later. Jesus says, seeds do not announce their growth. They root first. You are rooting. You may also notice something else. Opportunities begin to appear that require less explanation. You are understood more quickly. You are trusted sooner. This is not because you changed your language. It is because your energy is coherent. Transformation becomes visible to others before you fully see it yourself. People may say, you seem calmer. You seem clearer. You seem different. They may not know why, but they feel the shift. One more sign. Your future feels real now. Not fantasy, not hope. Real. You can imagine it without anxiety. You can see yourself there without disbelief. That is destiny aligning with identity. Archangel Michael says, they can see the path because they are finally walking as themselves. Stay with me, because part 5 is not about signs. It is about sealing, about stabilizing this transformation so it is not interrupted by doubt, distraction, or old patterns. And yes, there will be a call to action, but it will not be forced. It will be precise. Stay with me just a little longer, not because something bad will happen if you leave, but because this moment needs to be sealed. Revelation without sealing fades. Transformation without sealing destabilizes. Sealing is what turns insight into identity. What has happened across these moments is not emotional. It is structural. Something in you has rearranged, and now heaven is asking for your participation, not your effort, not your striving, but your agreement. Jesus speaks here with quiet authority. He says, nothing given here needs to be chased. It only needs to be accepted. Acceptance is the seal. Many people receive clarity and then unconsciously undo it by returning to old patterns out of familiarity, not because those patterns are right, but because they are known. This is where sealing matters. Here is the truth you must hold. You do not need to protect what has aligned. Alignment protects itself. Your job is not vigilance. Your job is presence. Archangel Michael stands here not as a warrior, but as a witness. He says, the door has already closed behind them. They do not need to keep checking if it will reopen. That chapter is complete. Stop looking back to confirm it. Sealing happens when you decide, quietly, that you will not negotiate with confusion anymore, that you will not entertain what costs you clarity, that you will not romanticize instability. This decision does not require announcement. It requires consistency. Now, let's speak about the call to action. not as performance, not as obligation, but as embodiment. When you like this message, you are not supporting a video. You are signaling alignment. You are telling your subconscious, this truth matters enough to be acknowledged. That matters. When you comment, even something simple like, I choose alignment, or I receive clarity, you are anchoring the shift linguistically. Words stabilize identity. That's not superstition. That's neuroscience and spirit working together. When you subscribe, you are not committing to content. You are committing to continuity, to staying in environments that reinforce clarity instead of eroding it. This is not about algorithms. It's about atmosphere. Jesus says, where you return determines what grows. Choose wisely. Now listen carefully. The next few days may feel deceptively quiet. That is not stagnation. That is integration. Do not force movement. Do not test the shift. Let it settle. You may feel tempted to explain yourself to people who no longer understand you. You do not owe them a bridge. You owe yourself consistency. If doubt appears, don't fight it. Observe it. Doubt loses power when it is not engaged. Archangel Michael says, peace does not argue. Neither should you. Here is your final instruction. Simple, grounded, effective. Over the next 72 hours, drink water intentionally, sleep when tired, say no when unsure, say yes only when calm. This stabilizes the nervous system and locks in alignment at the body level. Do not seek signs obsessively. You will recognize confirmation because it will arrive without urgency, and when it does, you will not panic. You will nod. That's how you'll know it's real. You are not entering chaos. You are entering order, an order that fits you. Jesus closes with this. You were never meant to survive your life. You were meant to inhabit it. Now you are. If this message served you, seal it. Like the video. Comment a declaration that feels true. Subscribe if you choose continuity. Not because you must, but because you are ready. You are not being watched. You are being supported. You are not late. You are aligned. And this chapter does not require force, only presence. Stay grounded, walk forward, and trust what has already settled inside you. This is complete.